The city glittered that night, lights twinkling like lies in the dark. The after-work gala was buzzing with laughter and champagne glasses, a playground for the rich and powerful. Amira stood by the entrance, nerves fraying as she adjusted the black dress Chief had demanded she wear. It hugged her curves like a secret she couldn't hide. She hadn't planned on coming here with him. She thought she could avoid it, thought she could stall. But when Chief's driver pulled up and the old man himself called to remind her who paid the bills, resistance melted like sugar in rain. Inside, Chief's hand rested on the small of her back as he guided her through the crowd. His grip possessive, staking a silent claim. Amira smiled because she had to. Every inch of her skin crawled, but she smiled. For her mother. For survival. Across the room, Damien scanned the crowd, looking for her. He'd practiced his words on the way here, simple, honest. Amira, I can't stop thinking about you. He imagined the way her eyes would light up, imagined a future that suddenly didn't seem impossible. Then he saw her. In Chief's arms. It was a still frame at first. His father's hand curved over her hip, her face turned up with that soft smile he thought was his alone. Something inside Damien snapped so violently it almost stole his breath. The room tilted, voices faded, all sound drowned in the roaring in his ears. His father. Her. Amira's heart stuttered when her gaze collided with Damien's across the ballroom. His expression wasn't rage. It was worse. Cold. Shattered. Like something precious inside him had just died. Damien, she started, moving toward him, but Chief tightened his hold. His lips brushing her ear with a warning only she could hear. Don't. Damien didn't wait. He turned and walked away, his long strides slicing through the crowd like a blade. She tried to follow, tried to call his name, but Chief's fingers dug into her arm. His voice low and venomous. Try that again, Amira, and your mother pays the price. Her blood ran cold. She froze, watching Damien disappear through the grand doors, her heart crumbling under the weight of a truth too cruel to bear. And for the first time since this began, Amira realized she hadn't just sold her body. She had sold her soul, and tonight, she might have lost the only man who could have saved it. The office felt colder than usual the next morning, but it wasn't the air conditioning, it was Damien. He didn't look at her when she walked in. Didn't nod. Didn't even acknowledge her, good morning. His gray eyes, once soft when they landed on her, now passed through her like she was a ghost. Mr. Cole, she started, clutching a file like a shield. Leave it on the desk, he cut in without looking up. His voice was flat, sharp as glass. Whispers snaked through the floor like smoke. He saw her with Chief last night. So that's how she affords Chanel. The same mouths that praised her ideas now curled into smirks. Amira kept her head down, shame crawling over her skin like fire ants. She couldn't even hate them because they weren't wrong. Every time she passed Damien's office, her chest clenched. Once, she caught him staring at her reflection in the glass wall, jaw tight, fists clenched. But when she turned, he looked away as if she didn't exist. It hurt more than words, more than shouting. His silence was a knife twisting in her ribs. By evening, her phone buzzed. Eve, you looked stunning last night. Dinner again tonight. Don't disappoint me. Her hands shook as she typed, I can't. Please, I need space. The reply came like a slap. Your mother's hospital bill is due tomorrow. Or do you want me to cancel her surgery? Tears blurred her vision. She wanted to scream, to tear the walls down. Instead, she slipped into the back seat of his Bentley that night, feeling the last piece of herself crumble. After dinner, when Chief's hand slid up her thigh under the table, she smiled, a dead, hollow smile, while inside she shattered into shards too sharp to hold. Back in her new apartment. His apartment. Amira stood before the mirror, stripping off the black dress like it burned. She stared at her reflection, at the woman staring back with eyes swollen from crying. She didn't recognize her anymore. This has to end, she whispered, voice shaking. I won't let him own me. For the first time since this began, fire sparked in her chest. Not shame, not fear, but something darker. stronger. A hunger for freedom. And maybe, just maybe, revenge. The night was silent except for the soft hum of the city beyond the glass walls of the penthouse Chief had chained her to with gifts. Amira sat on the edge of the bed, laptop open, heart pounding as she downloaded files from Chief's email server. Deals, bribes, secret offshore accounts, enough to burn his empire to the ground. Her hands shook, not from fear but from fury. She wasn't just taking back her freedom. She was going to make him pay for every tear, every shower where she scrubbed herself raw, every night he made her feel like nothing. The doorbell rang. She froze. Chief wasn't due until tomorrow. She shut the laptop, heart slamming. Then the door burst open. Damien. He filled the doorway like a storm. Tie loose, eyes blazing with a rage that could rip worlds apart. Damien, her voice cracked. Don't. His tone was ice over fire. Don't say my name like you didn't shatter me. Amira swallowed hard, tears stinging her eyes. It's not what you think. Oh, really? He laughed bitterly, stepping closer. Because my father just bragged over whiskey about the little intern who warms his bed. So tell me, Amira. What part of that am I misunderstanding? Her breath hitched. Chief told him. Of course he did, twisting the knife deeper. I didn't want this, she choked out, voice breaking. You think I wanted him? You think I don't die inside every time he touches me? Damien's jaw clenched so hard she thought it might crack. Then why? Because my mother would be dead if I didn't. The words ripped from her throat like a wound torn open. Because the hospital wanted money I didn't have. Because the world doesn't care how hard you work when you're poor. Tears streamed down her cheeks now, but she didn't stop. And then you. You made me feel something I thought I'd lost. Oh. But it was too late, Damien. I was already his prisoner. Silence. Heavy. Dark. Damien stared at her, chest rising and falling like a man fighting himself. Then, slowly, he stepped forward until his shadow swallowed hers. His fingers gripped her chin, not cruel but firm enough to make her breath hitch. Look at me, he said, voice low, dangerous. She did. You're not his anymore. Her heart stuttered. What? I'm going to bury him, Damien growled. Every deal, every dirty secret gone. But when this is over, you're mine. Not because you need me. Because you want me. Her breath caught, a shiver racing down her spine. And if I say no? His lips curved into something dark. Then walk away free. But if you stay? He leaned close, his breath hot against her ear. You'll never spend another night washing shame off your skin again. Only my touch. The air between them burned. Her tears mingled with something hotter now. Something that scared her more than Chief ever did. Desire. For a man who wanted her not as a possession, but as a choice. And for the first time in months, Amira realized she had power. Not Chief. Not fate. She looked into Damien's storm-gray eyes and whispered the words that would change everything. I choose you. His mouth crushed hers in a kiss that tasted like rage and salvation, sealing a promise neither of them could ever break. And in the shadows of that penthouse, the game ended. Not with defeat, but with fire. Chief wasn't a man who lost gracefully. Amira learned that the hard way. It had been 3 weeks since she told Damien everything. The threats, the blackmail, the deal that became her cage. 3 weeks since Damien's fury turned into action, dismantling his father's empire piece by piece with evidence Amira risked everything to collect. Chief's name now trended for all the wrong reasons. Illegal contracts, offshore accounts, scandals that shattered his legacy. But a man like Chief didn't bow quietly. Amira felt it when she stepped out of the Cole Tower's lobby that evening. The air was heavy. Too still. A black SUV pulled up to the curb, and before she could react, 2 men in dark suits grabbed her. She fought, clawed, screamed, but the door slammed, and the city blurred into streaks of light as they drove. Her heart pounded as fear clawed up her throat. She knew where they were taking her, back to the man she thought she'd escaped. The warehouse smelled of oil and dust. Chief sat in a leather chair, Agbada flawless despite the ruin of his empire. His face calm, too calm. You thought you could destroy me, little girl? His voice was silk over steel. Everything I gave you, and this is how you repay me. Amira's hands shook as they tied her to the chair. You didn't give me anything, she spat, summoning courage through the terror. You bought me. Like property. Like I wasn't human. Chief's eyes hardened. He rose slowly, his shadow stretching like a threat. I made you, Amira. Without me, you'd still be nothing. Without you, she said, voice trembling but firm, I'd still have my soul. Before Chief could reply, the warehouse doors crashed open. Damien strode in, rage in his eyes, a gun in his hand, flanked by 2 private security men. Let her go. His voice was a snarl, raw and lethal. Chief laughed, a bitter, hollow sound. So it's true. My son, throwing away his blood for a whore. Damien's jaw clenched. Say that again. Chief smirked. She'll ruin you like she ruined me. The next moment was chaos. Shouts, footsteps, the snap of ropes being cut. Damien pulled Amira into his arms. His voice fierce against her hair. I've got you. He'll never touch you again. Behind them, Chief's empire crumbled not just in headlines, but in reality. Sirens wailed in the distance as authorities closed in. For the first time, Amira felt chains of fear, guilt and shame, fall away. In Damien's arms, she wasn't a deal. She wasn't a mistake. She was his choice. And this time she chose him back. The sun dipped behind the Lagos skyline, painting the city in strokes of orange and gold. Amira stood on the balcony of Cole Towers, the wind tugging at her silk dress as the world stretched endlessly beneath her. For the first time in months, her chest didn't feel heavy. She sipped from a glass of red wine, her reflection in the sliding doors almost unrecognizable, a woman who had survived fire and walked out glowing. Her scars weren't on her skin, they were etched deep inside. But even scars told a story of strength. Behind her, the sound of soft footsteps. She didn't turn. She knew that presence, the heat, the gravity that pulled her in like the tide. Lost in thought again. Damien's voice, low and smooth, curled around her like silk. Just remembering, she murmured, setting the glass down. Everything that happened. He stepped closer until his arms circled her waist, his lips brushing the curve of her neck. Forget him. Forget the past. You're free now, Amira. She turned in his arms, her eyes lifting to his. Storm gray, intense, unwavering. She thought of the night in that warehouse, the way he'd fought for her like a man with nothing to lose. No one had ever fought for her before. I don't regret saving my mother, she whispered. But I regret what it cost me, what it almost cost us. Damien's thumb traced her jawline, his voice husky. The past is over. And I swear, no one will ever use you again. You belong to no one, but me. Her breath caught. Damien. He reached into his pocket, pulled out a small velvet box and flipped it open. The diamond inside caught the dying sun, scattering fire across the balcony. Start over with me, he said, his voice fierce yet tender. Not as an intern. Not as a sugar baby. As my wife. Tears welled in her eyes, spilling hot and fast. For so long she'd thought love was something fragile, easily broken, never hers to keep. But here it was, solid and burning in front of her. Yes, she breathed, choking on a sob. 1,000 times yes. Damien crushed his mouth to hers, the kiss deep and claiming, sealing a promise carved out of chaos. Behind them, the city lights flickered like witnesses to their rebirth. And as he lifted her in his arms, spinning her under the night sky, Amira realized something. She had paid the highest price to survive, but in the end she'd won something priceless. Love that didn't buy her, it chose her. Forever.